The mission begins. In a galaxy where tensions simmered just beneath the surface, a fragile peace hung in the balance. Earth had long sought to establish a diplomatic relationship with one of its most formidable neighbors, the Zarkan Empire. Known for their ruthless policies and cold demeanor, the Zarkans were a race that commanded respect through fear. Yet, hope flickered within the hearts of humanity as they prepared for what could be a historic meeting. The human delegation comprised seasoned diplomats and military advisors, led by Ambassador Marcus Hale, a man known for his tenacity in negotiations. He had spent years navigating complex intergalactic politics, always striving for peace despite overwhelming odds. This time was different. He brought along his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. Her bright eyes sparkled with curiosity as she explored every corner of the embassy where they were housed. To Marcus, she represented everything worth fighting for, a future free from fear and conflict. As Lily wandered through the sterile halls adorned with alien art that seemed both beautiful and intimidating, her laughter echoed like a melody amidst the grim realities surrounding them. She stopped occasionally to ask questions about alien customs or to marvel at strange artifacts displayed in glass cases. Marcus watched her with pride, knowing that her innocence was a stark contrast to the harshness of intergalactic diplomacy. The day arrived when they would meet with Zarkan officials, a carefully orchestrated event designed to bridge cultural divides and foster understanding. As they gathered in a grand chamber filled with towering alien statues that loomed over them like sentinels, Marcus felt a mix of apprehension and hope. He believed that this meeting could pave a path toward cooperation rather than conflict. However, tension crackled in the air like static electricity. Zarkan guards stood at attention, their expressions unreadable behind dark visors that concealed their eyes. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken words as both sides exchanged pleasantries that felt hollow against the backdrop of recent skirmishes along their borders. As discussions began, Marcus focused intently on articulating humanity's desire for peace, while Lily sat quietly beside him, her small hands clasped together in her lap. She listened intently as her father spoke passionately about collaboration in trade and technology, ideas that could benefit both civilizations if only they could overcome their differences. But then came an unexpected moment that would change everything. During a routine security check, before entering a restricted area where negotiations were set to continue, an unforeseen incident unfolded. Lily had wandered slightly away from her father's side, her innocent curiosity leading her closer to an area marked by bright red lights indicating danger. In an instant, panic erupted among Zarkan guards who were already on edge due to rising tensions between their empire and humanity. Without warning, weapons were drawn. In an effort to regain control over what they perceived as an imminent threat, a small child innocently exploring, shots rang out in rapid succession. Time slowed for Marcus as he turned just in time to see Lily's small body crumple to the ground, a burst of energy tearing through her life like paper caught in flames. A horrified silence enveloped the chamber as reality crashed down upon him like a tidal wave. His heart raced wildly. Grief overtook him in waves so powerful he felt he might drown in despair. He dropped to his knees beside his daughter's lifeless form, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. A child whose laughter had filled this cold space now lay motionless before him. His colleagues stood frozen in shock around him, disbelief painted across their faces as they struggled to process this horrific turn of events. The Zarkan guards exchanged panicked glances, realizing too late that their actions had unleashed chaos upon diplomatic efforts meant to foster peace. An official statement was issued shortly after, the Empire's response coldly detached from any sense of accountability or remorse. The incident is regrettable. It claimed matter-of-factly, but offered no names or acknowledgement of responsibility for taking an innocent life. To them, it was merely an unfortunate error, a minor mishap dismissed without consequence. Yet for humanity, especially those who had witnessed this tragedy firsthand, the dismissive attitude felt like salt rubbed into raw wounds, left by grief. Anger surged through Marcus as he struggled against despair. How could they so easily brush aside such profound loss? What had begun as a hopeful mission now lay shattered beneath layers of betrayal. As word spread back home about Lily's death, the image of her bright smile became emblematic not just of innocence lost, but also ignited outrage across every corner of Earth. Citizens took to streets demanding justice. Social networks buzzed with anger, while news channels broadcast reports filled with sorrowful tributes honoring her short life. In corridors filled with power, the reaction was swift. Emergency meetings convened, bringing together military leaders alongside government officials who understood one thing: the Empire had crossed a line that could not be ignored any longer. As Marcus grappled with his own grief, he knew there would be no room left for complacency or weakness. Something had to be done, and soon. Outrage on Earth. As news of the tragedy spread across the globe, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. What had begun as a hopeful diplomatic mission now morphed into a catalyst for outrage and grief. The image of Lily Hale, a bright-eyed child whose laughter had once filled the cold halls of the alien embassy, became a haunting reminder of innocence lost. Her death ignited a firestorm of emotions that swept through every corner of Earth. A global reaction. In cities and towns, people gathered to mourn and protest. Vigils sprang up in public squares, with citizens lighting candles and sharing stories of their own children, reflecting on the fragility of life. Social media exploded with hashtags like #JusticeForLily and #HumanityUnited as individuals from all walks of life expressed their anger and sorrow. News outlets broadcasted images of the protests, showing crowds holding signs demanding accountability from the Zarkan Empire. The collective grief was palpable. It transcended borders and cultures. From bustling metropolises to quiet rural areas, humanity united in its outrage. Parents held their children close, whispering promises of protection, while others shouted for justice in the streets. The death of one child had become a rallying cry for millions, an event that could not be swept under the rug. Government response. Inside government buildings, discussions turned heated. Emergency meetings convened as leaders struggled to formulate a response that would satisfy the public's demand for action. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Faces were grim as military leaders and diplomats debated their next steps. "Do we really want to escalate this?" asked General Thompson, his voice steady but laced with concern. "We need to consider the ramifications of an all-out war." But his words were met with frustration. "What choice do we have?" retorted Senator Ramirez, her voice rising above the murmurs. "They killed an innocent girl. If we do nothing, it will send a message that we are weak." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications of their choices. The Zarkan Empire had shown no remorse. They had dismissed Lily's death as an unfortunate accident, a minor mishap in their eyes. This indifference only fueled the fire within Earth's leaders. The call for action. As debates raged on, Marcus Hale found himself at the center of it all. His heart ached not only for his daughter, but also for the future he had envisioned, a future where children could grow up without fear. He stood before his peers, his voice trembling with emotion. "We cannot let her death be in vain," he implored them. "If we do not act decisively now, we are allowing them to dictate our response. We owe it to Lily and every child on this planet to show that we will not tolerate such violence." His words resonated deeply within the room. They were a reminder of what was at stake. The decision was made. Earth would not remain passive in the face of such brutality. Mobilizing forces. Orders were issued swiftly as military leaders began mobilizing Earth's most powerful weapon, the fleet. This formidable force had been developed in secrecy over years of preparation, designed to protect humanity from existential threats. Now it would be called upon to respond to an act of aggression that could not be ignored. As preparations began, soldiers trained tirelessly, their resolve hardening with each passing hour. The fleet consisted of massive dreadnoughts and advanced cruisers, each equipped with cutting-edge technology capable of devastating any enemy force they encountered. The ships were like beasts awakening from slumber, their engines roaring to life as they prepared for battle. In command centers across Earth, screens flickered with maps and data as strategies were devised. Military personnel worked around the clock, ensuring that every detail was accounted for before embarking on this perilous journey into enemy territory. A divided sentiment. However, not everyone agreed with this course of action. Voices of caution emerged amid the fervor for retaliation. Some argued that launching an attack could lead to catastrophic consequences, escalating tensions further and risking more lives. "We must consider diplomacy," suggested Ambassador Chen during one heated discussion. "There may still be a chance to resolve this without bloodshed." But those voices were drowned out by the overwhelming sentiment for vengeance, a desire to make a statement that would echo across the galaxy. The loss felt too great. There was no room left for negotiation when faced with such blatant disregard for human life. The fleet assembles. As days turned into nights filled with strategic planning and preparation, Earth's fleet finally assembled at its launch site, a sprawling spaceport bustling with activity. Massive ships loomed over personnel working diligently on final checks and weapon calibrations. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Soldiers exchanged determined glances, while engineers ran diagnostics on advanced weapon systems designed to unleash destruction upon their enemies if necessary. Marcus stood on the observation deck overlooking the fleet, a mixture of pride and sorrow swelling within him. This was humanity's might on display. Each ship represented years of innovation forged through adversity and resilience. But beneath that pride lay an unsettling realization. They were preparing for war, not just against an alien empire, but against a system that had taken his daughter's life so carelessly. Preparing for battle. As launch day approached, emotions ran high among those involved in the mission. Fear mingled with determination as families said their goodbyes one last time before loved ones boarded ships destined for conflict. The final briefing took place in a dimly lit room filled with officers who understood what lay ahead. An uncertain future filled with danger, but also hope that justice would finally be served. "Remember why we're here," Marcus reminded them firmly during his speech before deployment began. "This isn't just about revenge. It's about protecting our future." With those words resonating in their hearts, soldiers prepared themselves mentally for what awaited them beyond Earth's atmosphere. A confrontation that would determine not only their fate, but also how humanity would be perceived among other civilizations in this vast universe. A journey into darkness. As Earth's fleet launched into space, massive engines igniting like stars against the backdrop of darkness, it marked not just a journey into unknown territory, but also signified humanity's unyielding spirit in facing adversity head-on. Each vessel moved forward with purpose, an unstoppable force driven by grief transformed into action, a collective determination to ensure that no other child would suffer such a fate again. With every passing moment spent navigating through voids filled with uncertainty came renewed resolve among crew members who understood what lay ahead. They were fighting not just for vengeance, but also for peace, a chance at redemption amidst chaos. And so began their journey toward confrontation, a path paved by loss, yet illuminated by hope, a quest fueled by love and remembrance as they ventured forth into an uncertain future where destiny awaited them among stars shimmering brightly against infinite darkness. A new resolve. As the news of Lily Hale's tragic death reverberated across Earth, it ignited a sense of urgency and outrage among its citizens and leaders alike. The once hopeful diplomatic mission had transformed into a rallying cry for justice, and the atmosphere was charged with a determination that had not been seen in years. The human race stood at a crossroads, faced with the choice of responding to the alien empire's callousness with strength or submission. In the heart of Earth's military command center, high-ranking officials gathered to discuss their next steps. The room was filled with tension as they reviewed intelligence reports detailing the Zarkan Empire's military capabilities. General Thompson stood at the front, his expression grave but resolute. "We cannot allow this act of violence to go unanswered," he declared, his voice echoing off the walls. "We must show them that humanity will not be treated as expendable." The decision to strike. The discussions quickly turned from mourning to strategy. Earth had spent years developing its military fleet, an impressive array of warships equipped with advanced technology and weaponry designed for interstellar combat. Now, it was time to unleash this power in response to the Empire's brutality. "Mobilizing the fleet is our only option," said Admiral Carter, a veteran strategist known for his decisive actions in previous conflicts. "We need to send a clear message that we will not tolerate the loss of innocent lives." His words resonated with everyone in the room. They understood that this was not just about revenge, but about asserting humanity's place in the galaxy. The decision was made swiftly. Orders were issued, and preparations began immediately. Crews were summoned from their posts, engineers worked tirelessly on final checks, and soldiers trained rigorously for what lay ahead. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. This was a pivotal moment in history. Preparing for war. As Earth's fleet assembled at its launch site, a sense of purpose filled the air. Massive ships loomed against the backdrop of stars, their hulls gleaming under the bright lights of the spaceport. Each vessel represented years of research and development, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Among those preparing for deployment was Commander Elena Reyes, a skilled pilot known for her exceptional leadership skills. As she walked through the hangar bay, she felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. This mission was unlike any she had undertaken before. It was personal. The loss of Lily Hale weighed heavily on her heart, fueling her determination to protect humanity at all costs. Elena gathered her squadron for one final briefing before they boarded their ships. "Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every person who has ever suffered at the hands of oppression," she said passionately. "We will show the Zarkan Empire that we are united and unyielding." The fleet set sail. With engines roaring to life, Earth's fleet prepared to embark on its journey toward the Zarkan Empire's capital. The ships formed a formidable line, each one bristling with weaponry and advanced stealth technology designed to evade detection. As they entered hyperspace, anticipation hung thick in the air. They were heading into enemy territory. As they traveled through the void, crew members shared stories about their loved ones back home, reminders of what they were fighting for. Laughter mingled with nervous chatter as they tried to ease their fears before facing an unknown enemy. But beneath this camaraderie lay an undercurrent of anxiety. Everyone understood that this mission could change everything. They were not just fighting for justice, they were fighting for survival. Encountering alien defenses, days passed as Earth's fleet approached the borders of Zarkan territory. Tensions rose as they neared their destination. Each crew member felt a mix of anticipation and dread. Would their resolve hold against an empire known for its brutal tactics? Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the command center as scanners detected incoming alien patrol ships. Zarkan defenses positioned along their borders. The crew sprang into action, readying themselves for what lay ahead. "Prepare for engagement," shouted Admiral Carter over the comms as he took his place at the command console. "We will not back down." The Zarkan ships opened communications channels, attempting to negotiate a peaceful resolution before hostilities erupted. "This is an unauthorized incursion into Zarkan space," came a cold voice over the comms. "Withdraw immediately or face consequences." But Earth's response was swift and resolute. Silence followed by an overwhelming barrage of firepower as Earth's fleet unleashed its might upon the alien vessels. The first clash. The battle erupted like a storm. Laser cannons fired in rapid succession as Earth's ships engaged their foes with relentless precision. Dreadnoughts led the charge, unleashing devastating volleys that tore through enemy shields and hulls alike. Elena piloted her fighter through chaos, weaving between enemy fire while delivering precise strikes against key targets within Zarkan formations. Her heart raced as adrenaline coursed through her veins. She had never felt so alive or so determined. Around her, Explosions lit up the darkness of space, a vivid reminder of what was at stake. Each destroyed ship represented not just a victory, but also a step closer to justice for Lily Hale and all those who had suffered under Zarkan rule. A relentless assault. The Zarkan forces scrambled to regroup amidst the chaos. Reinforcements were dispatched from nearby sectors in an attempt to stabilize their defenses. But Earth's fleet pressed on relentlessly, each wave crashing against enemy lines like an unstoppable tide. As skirmishes intensified, reports flooded in from various points across the battlefield. Crews worked tirelessly under pressure, while strategists adjusted tactics based on real-time data streaming into command centers. General Thompson monitored every detail closely. He knew that maintaining momentum was crucial if they hoped to break through Zarkan defenses before reinforcements could arrive. "Keep pushing forward," he ordered firmly as he watched tactical displays flicker with updates from various fronts, each ship representing lives dedicated to defending humanity's future. The turning point. Hours passed in what felt like both an eternity and mere moments. The battle raged on without respite as both sides fought fiercely for dominance in this pivotal confrontation. Just when it seemed like Earth's forces might falter under pressure, a breakthrough occurred. A coordinated strike led by Commander Reyes crippled one of Zarkan's flagship vessels, a significant blow that sent shockwaves throughout enemy ranks. Cheers erupted across Earth's fleet as crew members celebrated this hard-fought victory. Hope surged anew among them. This battle could turn into something greater than mere retaliation. It could mark humanity's resurgence against oppression. With renewed vigor coursing through their veins, Earth's forces pressed onward, determined to secure victory not just against an empire, but also against indifference itself. A testament that no matter how dark things seemed, light would always find a way through.